When time was an ancient aeon that did not yet possess measurement, a sliver of frigid gloom slanted across the primordial fissure known as chaos. The air was steeped in the faint scent of minerals and the bittersweet crispness of the first dew impregnated by starlight. Within an inner chamber shrouded by heavy shadows, where the distant murmur of the river Lethe could be heard, a woman with eyes reflecting a profound sense of universal desolation quietly opened her empty hands. She was not in a hurry to conjure prosperity. Instead, within her mind, utilizing an inner imaging sharpened by long seclusion within the void, she repeatedly calculated the philosophical metaphors of bearing and balance. She was Gaia, the Earth Mother, the most ancient primordial deity of Greek myth, an intellectual who chose solitude amidst the miracles of power, transmutating herself into a bedrock for hundreds of millions of years. This is a chronicle of how restraint erupts into power, and how solitude is transmutated into nobility. The genesis of Gaia's life held none of the splendor typical of the Olympian gods. Instead, it was a dark gray foundation woven from rigorous gravitational codes and irrevocable logic within the bottomless shadows of chaos. Born at the inception of the void, and naturally regarded as the sole source of the legitimacy of existence itself, she inherited a microcosm that was ruthlessly cold, governed by atomic arrangement and causal gambits. In consciousness laboratories reddened by the glow of nebulae, she learned to use her gaze to perceive the space-time structures lurking behind every vanishing point. This relentless pursuit of existential truth became the first incurable fold in her psyche, and the only armor that would guard her reality in a world of chaos. If her early contemplation was the tempering of her will, then the epoch when she decided to turn her body into mountains and plains was the practical crucible that pushed Gaia's aesthetics of endurance to its zenith. She overthrew the prevailing divine fashions of blind expansion, resolutely transforming the crustal vibrations into an ultimate geometric deduction, replacing endless energy explosions with the elegance of prolonged erosion. In those quiet nights, where only the sound of cooling magma could be heard, through ruthlessly precise calculations of continental plates and oceanic depths, she issued silent commands that stabilized the order of the surface. In those moments, Gaia was the most sober and solitary artisan of the entire universe. She accepted every mockery from the heavens with silence. This radical focus rendered her like a marble bell tower, solitary and soaring, yet indestructible. The summit of power in the eyes of the wise is often manifested as the penetration of truth. Gaia gradually realized that when she eventually received the title of Mother of all things upon the altars of Olympus, she had obtained not just stability, but a nihility that saw through the rise and fall of all existences. This transition, returning from creator to watcher, was fraught with intellectual struggle, yet it endowed her with a cold, almost translucent peace. She remarked in her final resonance, "I once believed I was building a home, now I find I am merely searching for a point of convergence within the scarred fissures of memory, where the soul no longer falls." This expansive clarity became her hardest armor in the end. The final season of Gaia was spent in a state of profound solemnity and a silence illuminated by the radiance of a sage. At the inception of the mythic era's autumn, the fine rain of the Alps fell without a sound, washing the stone steps of the valleys into a translucent, solemn gray. She closed her eyes, tracing a final arc of completion across her chest with hands that had held 10,000 scepters and turned 10,000 scrolls. She left behind no vast monuments of conquest, only the scorched, benevolent wisdom that still glows after 2 millennia. Her departure was like a magnificent concerto entering its final decrescendo, marking the official curtain call of the era of classical ideals in a steady resonant echo. Even today, millennia after her departure, the name Gaia remains the sole sanctuary for many insomniac seekers in the deep of night. What she left behind was not a towering monument of victory, but a spiritual template of self-restraint and high-born departure. In absolute shadow, she maintained absolute sobriety. Amidst absolute temptation, she held onto absolute logic. Beneath the ruins of the ancient city, worn smooth by history, she maintains that posture of leaning her head to listen, as if still soothing this increasingly restless and anxious world. Her life was an intellectual long march seeking sacred rhythms amidst the chaotic dust of the world. Gaia's story thus draws to a slow close amidst the fading whispers of the tides in the valley. She was never an opportunist who bartered her essence for fame. She was merely a weary soul who steadfastly refused to compromise with mediocrity. Inner tranquility is your only true and eternal refuge. Just as she did during the coldest winter nights of the Mediterranean, guarding a flickering candle and searching for a fulcrum of existence through the void. Please believe that in every person's life, there is a primordial contemplation of their own, a private space for dialogue with the self that requires no outward explanation. May Gaia's serenity and vastness become the softest feather in your dreams, carrying you to the farthest, most tranquil shore of the soul. Good night, and may sweet dreams be with you.